Star Trek will not be presented tonight, so that we may bring you the following special program.
Please support the Word Balloon podcast by going to patreon.com/wordballoon. Become a part of the League of Word Balloon listeners. That's patreon.com/wordballoon. Welcome back, everybody. It's time again for Word Balloon, the comic book conversation show. John Suntra's with you. Always happy to welcome back Phillip Kennedy Johnson to Word Balloon. Recently retired from the service.
Yeah.
Thank you for all those years, Phil. And I'm so glad that you're able to step down from the Army chores and concentrate on the writing. Congratulations.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate that. It's great seeing you, like always.
Yeah, man. How's it been? I don't know how often your Army duties would, put you in whatever sort of routine. Is it weird not having to worry about that anymore?
It's not weird. It's honestly, it's still super busy, but I'm slowly getting closer and closer to in the black as far as time management and just balance and everything. Like there's been a lot of stuff that I've wanted to do for a long time, like creatively, like just creative outlets and time I wanted to spend with my son and various conventions I wanted to go to that would have been hard to get away for in the past. There's just it just opens up a lot of really cool possibilities as far as bandwidth, but also just different kinds of creative fulfillment,
Good deal, man. Excellent. Well, there's cool stuff to talk about as far as your current load of writing, but I already see a couple questions, so why don't we get out of the way? A couple of these. First of all, ChemDog saying hello.
Oh, cool.
Which is always nice.
Yeah.
And let's see. We got King of New York. How's it going? Very cool. And Caesar of Rome wants to know off the bat, because I guess this got announced, is Adventures of Superman, the Book of L, a mini or an ongoing? What can you tell us about this title?
Book of L is well, thanks for the questions. First of all, it's good to see everyone in here. Everyone knows I'm a Superman hell fan, and I could have written that story until I'm dead. I mean, I have so much to say about Superman. Had a really good run, and I'm still not done. I could do 10 more years, and there'd still be things that I want to continue. So but anyway, it did introduce a lot of lore in the War World saga, and then the arcs that followed that I still want to pay off. As far as whether it's a mini or ongoing, I don't know how much I'm supposed to say. I will say it's not a mini. Like it depends on how you define those things. I think at some point we have called it a maxi series.
Yeah,
I know that used to mean 12 issues, and now it's a little more vague now.
I can appreciate that, because certainly trades have kind of shrunk from where they used to be 6 to sometimes 5, sometimes 4. So I would imagine even 8 issues is obviously longer than a mini, but maybe that new maxi size,
right?
Depending on the schedule and the popularity and the story.
Well, that's it. I mean, you're saying it right now. So like it does kind of depend on readership. The fact that it's comics are monthly publishing typically, and it kind of depends on reader reception. It depends on the schedule a lot. It depends on what else is coming. There's going to be all these events. Sometimes now in the era of like corporate ownership and movie tie-ins and all that can sometimes, it's not so much that it steers the comics, but there has to be some kind of synergy.
Sure.
Like you want the books to kind of reflect what's going on in other media too. So sometimes that there can be these big kind of glacial swings where everything kind of goes a certain direction or focus on certain characters or in a certain setting or whatever. So we can plan on 12, and then, later in the year, there's an edict from on high that there needs to be some kind of a change. Like suddenly there's going to be an event that happens in the summer that wasn't planned on. And then suddenly 12 becomes 10, or, they want, or readers just love the shit out of it. Now we need 6 more issues of it or whatever,
Yeah.
So I hate to I don't want to commit to a certain number of issues, but right now we're calling it a maxi series and we'll just see what readers want,
Is there a date on schedule for this book?
Not officially.
Okay. All right. And
even,
I'm going to let
that can change. There's a date that we're working towards that we're planning on. But again, everything I've learned the hard way not to commit to dates because, honestly, that's even the reason that we're even talking about this right now is because somebody leaked it accidentally that it's coming out, because there was a time when it was going to come out in the spring. And those plans kind of changed, and that memo got lost in the shuffle, and they're like, Book of L is coming out in March or April, whatever they said. And that was incorrect. So yeah, I hate to give another date and then bust it again. So, but yeah, it's coming out later this year.
I understand. I'm going to let Ange ask this question. And once we are done talking with Superman, we will move on to other topics. And I will, if anyone in the chat suddenly has another question about this Adventures of Superman House of Hell, I will suggest they rewind and you hear what Phillip is allowed to say. But Ange is asking, does House of Hell have anything to do with the present day super family or based on your future state family?
That's too specific. I probably shouldn't say. But okay. I'll say that if you liked my work up till now, also, hey, Ange, good to see you. I know Ange very well. Okay. Ange has been super supportive of my work for a long time. Ange is a Supergirl fan. Also the whole super family and Superman, of course, but he's got a soft spot in his heart for Supergirl, which I respect. It was kind of fun talking about that. Like why Supergirl? And he had some really touching reasons why, like growing up, why like Supergirl spoke to him. If you read all my Superman work up till now, and if you feel like there are any threads that are hanging out there that have not been resolved yet, like it's just know that I feel them too.
Cool, man.
If you want to see more of a certain character or more of a certain time period or whatever, just know that I'm not going to leave a single thread hanging by the time I'm finished.
That sounds great, man. Well, Ange, thanks you. Very nice. And I see Bob Harrison, another great podcaster, saying hello to us.
Oh, thanks, Bob. Thanks,
Bob. Good to see you, man.
Another pro. Man, Bob knows so goddamn much about comics.
Oh, yeah.
I'm always super impressed.
Yeah, Tony Fleece and I were talking about when he was on with Bob and Mike Gold on their podcast. So
yeah,
I appreciate that.
Yeah. Oh shit, Charlie Lewis is in here.
Yeah, he is.
I've got a funny story about Charlie. What's up, Charlie? Charlie played mellophone in marching band with me in college.
Oh, that's insane.
Yeah, I know. I saw him at a signing, and he was like, "Do you remember me?" I'm like, "Kinda." We kind of talked about it. I was like, oh shit. And he showed me these pictures photos that he had taken in Marching Band back in the day, some of which he's in, but other ones that he himself took. And I was like, I know that photo. I think I have that photo. It's like, I took that photo. And so and slowly the memories started to kind of line up, and it was like, oh my God, Charlie, I do remember you. So anyway, it's really cool. He's a huge comics guy, and he goes to this great shop in Richmond, Kentucky, where we went to school. And anyway, it's cool to see him in here. What's up, Charlie?
That's excellent, man. Very, very cool. All right, we are officially moving on from Adventures of Superman, the House of Hell. I'm sure more announcements and more description are coming later this year.
Actually, one thing I do want to say about
feel free, please.
Just real quick.
No. Phil, say as much as you can and want to.
I know you're trying to be cool to me here and not give me opportunies to spoil shit like I do
good,
sometimes.
Man. Yeah, I don't want Clark Bull yelling at you or anything, or me for that matter.
No, it'd be all right. I mean, you got Scott Snyder. You're talking about spoilers. Scott spoils shit constantly.
Yeah, he does.
And it serves him very well. So no one's going to give me any crap. So it's honestly, it's kind of infectious whenever I see Scott on a panel or an interview and he's spoiling stuff. He's just so stoked. He can't not talk about it. And I feel that too.
He's coming on Monday. And truly, cool. he's been like, hey, can I show you Absolute Batman before it's out? I'm like, sure.
Yeah.
What do you think? I'm like, I'll tell you. Absolutely.
I have an editor. I shouldn't name him, but an editor said, told me and repeated it like a mantra over the years. He said, there's no spoiler that ever didn't help sell a comic or something like that. So people don't seem to mind. But anyway, So I've been going through. They're releasing the PKJ Superman Omnibus Volume 1 this year.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's really exciting. So
well deserved.
Thank you. Appreciate that. So I've been going through that lately, and because we are putting so much back matter into that thing. There's so much lore that we put on the page in the comic. Like we really tried to we wanted War World to feel like a real place. Like there's so many panels where there's some really interesting visual that isn't even mentioned. Like the characters just blow right through it. But so often, there's a whole backstory to that thing. Like there's when Superman and the Authority first arrive on Warworld, there's this big there's like a little pool of frozen mineral of some kind on the ground, and you can kind of make out the two shadows of these two gigantic alien things in there. This is in Action Comics 1036. There are these that thing is called the Tomb of the Twin Sovereigns or something like that, and there just wasn't any organic way to talk about it right then. But there's this whole story about where they come from, what they're doing there, why Mongol put them there, what happened next. I could name 100 things like that. So going through the omnibus was an awesome opportunity to tell those stories. So we're showing reams of Clark Kent's journals from Warworld. I mean, we get like snippets of those journals in the book, in the comic, but now we're going to see more of them. I mean, I couldn't put the whole thing in there. I mean, the journals themselves could fill the entire thing. Like there's, dozens and dozens of entries, and not all of them. I didn't flesh out every single one, but there are a lot of stories on Warworld that happened that I wanted to show. So that's in there. There's all kinds of character designs and sketches and by the many artists that worked on the book, and just going through there, like there's language, like glossaries and stuff. There's scenes that we only have ever seen in a Warzone language, and now we get to see it in English too. And going through there was such a great reminder to me of the lengths to which the artists and editors and I went to make Warworld feel real and a setting worthy of our greatest hero, Superman. So it was great to go through that and remind myself the work that we were trying to do on that book, so that I can meet that bar again now on Adventures of Superman Book of L. I don't want this to be like the shitty Echo. I need this to stand up to the stuff that we've done up till now. It needs to be every bit as deep, every bit as rich, and as real as Warworld was up till now.
You're going to bruise a lot of laps with people having that as they're reading in the bathroom or somewhere else because they can't put it down, man.
I hope so.
That's kind of the consequence of these dictionary size omnibuy as they come out and everything. No, that's great, man. I'm so glad that that's happening for you. Hey, it's an epic run, and it's an atypical epic run. You and Chris Priest, what he did with Superman Lost.
Yeah,
it's like there is room for listen, I love a good Metropolis story as well, but there's really great room for great science fiction stories with Superman, and it's great when those things happen. Don wants to know if we've ever done a Superman panel together. Love your conversations. Well, not Superman specifically, but we've done a couple, at least. Well, I know last summer at Terrificon, we were doing that all-in / absolute panel. Yeah. And you were there, and Jason was there, and Scott was there.
That's right. Yeah, Superman has come up with us a great deal. And we also talk about Superman a lot in private. Like whenever we're hanging out in Chicago or wherever, we also talk about Superman.
Oh, yeah.
But don't worry, you'll see more of this. They're actually sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, well, no, go ahead. Finish your war actually, because
I was just going to say thought. I've got, I'm kind of building a cool relationship with these teachers and enthusiasts and historians in Cleveland.
Oh, wow. Great.
Yeah. And they're bringing Wade and me up to Cleveland on the weekend of the film release.
Wow.
And
nice.
we're doing some stuff in the city there. And that's going to continue to happen. So there are people extremely invested in Superman's history, of which I consider John one for sure. But also others like the great writer Ed Gross.
Yes, the Krypton Chronicles.
Yeah.
Right? Isn't that Ed's book?
I forget the exact name. Ed's gonna shoot me.
But yeah, it's like it's the whole history of Superman in all media, and it really gets pretty up to date. Even when he wrote it and everything,
there are some people in Cleveland, my friend Valentino and many others, who are very invested in bringing, like, they're getting that statue built there. Like that statue is coming to Cleveland now.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that there was a statue being.
They're dedicating a statue. They've been gathering funds to put up a statue in Cleveland as it deserves.
Rightfully so.
Like all that Superman stuff is in the Cleveland library. That library is a holy place.
You've told me that before, and also the Schuster House as well.
Yeah, cool oh my god, that is a story about when I went there.
Yeah, cool. Definitely. Everyone on the look up our previous conversations and hear Phillip really go into detail. But feel free.
Yeah.
Feel free, man.
No, it's okay. Well, it's if that's there. But anyway, I love Cleveland. I could. It's funny because I'd played in Cleveland before, and I don't remember where we played. I played there with the Glenn Miller Band. I played there with my more recent gig with the Army Field Band in DC. We toured there, and Cleveland's fine. And I was like, Cleveland's okay, but I never really had much time to see the city. And when my friend Valentina brought me up for like the Superman event before, I was blown away by, I don't know, it's just a really great town. There's like this really feeling of civic pride that I really respected, and Superman is all over that town. I mean, like that library is incredible. And I mean, I could just spend every weekend in that place, and not just because of the Superman shit. Like, it's an amazing library. And the Schuster House, I don't know, that place is great. It's got a great just cultural scene, and they all just feel, they treat it like home,
Make sure you spend some time at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame if you haven't already been there.
I will. I'll go.
Absolutely, man. No, that's cool. Someone wanted to ask, Alex Sanchez wanted to know, have you ever wanted to write for Ultimate Marvel or Absolute DC? You do amazing things in either. And I would even obviously say the things that you've added to the Superman legacy, like House of L and everything, or, of the Future State Superman stuff and everything that you've done. So
thanks so much for asking that, Alex. I would love to. Man, I'm going to tell a story out of school here. I got an opportunity to do an Ultimate book, right? An Ultimate or an Absolute thing. I shouldn't say what it was exactly, but I got a shot at doing one of those books. And I had to turn it down just because I didn't have the time. And this is when I was still fully active duty, like doing 2 careers and trying to be a good dad and trying to just not be a fat piece of shit. And like there's all these different things I'm trying to keep in the air. And I just did not have this. I would have just fallen right on my face. And it's a book that I would have really loved to have done. It was really hard. And even now it hurts to think about. So thanks. No, it's my fault. But I would have had to turn down to end another book. And I can't give up any of the stuff I'm doing now or the stuff I was doing then. But I do hope to come back to that, though. It is a really exciting thought to take a beloved character and kind of reinvent it from the bones out, just start from the core of the thing. I will say, I mean, I don't think anyone was going to do Absolute Batman but Scott. I mean, that's not what he'll tell you, but it's he when he started the Absolute stuff, he did not intend to write Batman. But I don't know. It's just hard to imagine anyone else doing it. Like, he just made such a great mark on the character, on the main continuity Batman. If they had come to me, be like, you want to do Absolute Batman, like right out of the gate, having never really written a Batman like a canon Batman series, I don't think I would have had the cred for it, if that makes sense. Like having not made my bones on the actual character. If they'd come to me about Absolute Superman, I would have done that.
Okay.
Just because I feel like I had already established my voice on the traditional Superman that's been around since the 30s. But something like Batman or another character that I hadn't really touched before, I don't think out of respect, I would have had to say no to those kind of things too. I need to kind of establish a voice on the main character before I do the Unplugged album or whatever.
No, I get it. Honestly, I've loved what I've seen so far from the Absolute line.
Totally.
And I've even gotten a sneak look at a book that's coming out in March Lemire's Flash, Absolute Flash, but it looks amazing.
I'll read whatever Lemire does sight unseen.
Yeah. It's and also from where Jeff came from. I mean, I've been talking to Jeff since Essex County and a lot of his indie stuff, and then to get those opportunities over the years at DC and Marvel, and it's like, of course he knows what he's doing on these characters. I mean, and yeah, everybody. All I'll say is, and it's only a week or two away from when it's debuting, either next Wednesday or the following Wednesday. Absolute Flash with Lemire. You're gonna love it. You're gonna love it from the first drop. And honestly, Kelly's killing it on Wonder Woman, and Jason's killing it on Superman, and Scott. Hopefully, if everything, unless his schedule changes all of a sudden, we're supposed to talk Monday night, everybody. Me and Scott Snyder about what's going on in Absolute Batman.
Scott's the man. I have so much respect for Scott. I can't believe how much he gets done, how hard he hustles, how well he writes with all he's doing, all the different things he keeps in the air all the time. Scott remains like my mentor, even in times where we're not really talking actively that much. I always just have the greatest respect for Scott and the work that he does.
WWSSD. What would Scott Snyder do? Maybe is floating through your mind. Perhaps.
Well, I'm so impressed with his work to this day.
Where is it here? There was someone that said something nice about Alligator Black and your career own stuff, and wanted to know, hopes that there is room in your bandwidth for some creator own stuff coming up.
There is. There's a creator owned book that has been greenlit. That's coming.
Excellent.
It's way early, so I shouldn't say what it is, but it is coming. That is really important to me. I need to make sure that I don't stay so busy with the licensed books that I'm not doing any creator owned. I'm just too often I get offered a gig that I would love to do, and I'm just like, yes, I want to do it, and then then it keeps me from doing other things from saying other things that I want to say with the medium, because I'm just having so much fun with these other characters that I love, and I'm trying to be better about that. But I do have a creator-owned book coming up, and I've also been thinking about this is beyond the scope of the question, but I've also had a lot of I kind of asked myself the question if I'm going to continue to play music now that I'm out of the Army band gig. But I do like the answer whenever I think about it, the answer is yes. I can't bring myself to say, no, I'm done. I'm good. It would be really hard for me to pick up my horn one day and it's just not there anymore. Like it's the chops are gone. It's like, well, I guess I'm done. That would really suck.
I want you to be like Doc Severinsen, man, and do it into your 90s, and still be doing it and shit.
Well, dude, that motherfucker.
Come on.
He worked so hard, like through his 90s. Like that guy was just, to anyone who actually knew him and who knows the trumpet world, really, he was all up in the International Trumpet Guild, like the international organization that kind of keeps the ball moving forward. He always went to those conventions. He was always playing. He practices constantly. He was always practicing. And, we would, at those conferences or even just at a venue wherever he was playing, I've heard him play several times, and he was always backstage, even earlier in the day. Like if he had a gig that night, I've heard him practicing like that morning back behind the exhibit hall
at the venue.
Yeah. And this is when he was in, like the last time I heard him, I think he was probably in his late 80s, still super fit and playing. And in the morning when he was, not to speak ill of him, when he was practicing in the morning, he sounded kind of rough. Like he didn't sound good at all, honestly, when he was just trying to make stuff work on the horn.
Getting the kinks out. Yeah.
When he went out there on stage, you would have never known it.
Hilarious.
I mean, he's just a consummate professional the whole time. And
I'm sure you've seen that American Masters documentary about him, haven't you, from a couple years ago? My God. Yeah.
I have so much respect for him. And comics has those people too. I mean, that's, I just described Joe Kubert. That guy.
Yeah.
Died
for real.
Till
the end.
And his stuff was looking amazing the whole time.
I do that Joe Kubert Presents that DC was doing right up till he passed away.
Yeah.
I mean, truly, first of all, obviously we didn't want to lose him, but also it's like, the guy's still doing it, man. Sarajevo, some of the other stuff he did in the early 2000s. I'm just like, and I never had him on the show, But thanks to Jimmy and Amanda Palmiotti and Amanda Connor, they introduced me to Joe, and I got to talk to him a couple times at conventions. And oh my God, genius, and just everything. And I wish I did have the chance to both talk to him more after hours and on the podcast. No, what a man! What a man!
I would have paid real money to talk to Joe. I don't usually. I'm not that guy that follows people around, being like, I got to talk to my hero or to celebrity. But like Joe was my Elvis. Like I would have loved to have met Joe. He at MegaCon recently, I met Emma Kubert for the first time.
Oh, nice.
And like she and I were just like accidentally across the table from each other at dinner with like a big people like
oh, nice.
Like Frank Miller's down the table. My friend Danny Earls is right next to me, my Hulk artist.
Oh yeah,
one of my Hulk artists, his fiance, and various people. And Emma Kubert's there. I was like, oh hey, I knew who she was because I've seen her like online or whatever. And I introduced myself and we talked, and I just bugged her about Joe the whole time. And I'm just such a hella fan of that guy. And not through Emma, but I'm actually going to be doing a little bit of teaching at the Kubert School soon.
Hey, wonderful!
And that is like, I will not be taking that lightly.
That is outstanding, man.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to be in the classroom every day because I don't live there. But it's, I talked to Anthony about it. The guy, like the owner, he's I'm going to go up there for a Q&A and then hopefully like an online thing, and we'll see what happens. But it's, I don't know. I'm just really honored to get the shot. I love teaching. I've typically taught music. But I've had private students in trumpet, but also in jazz, but also in writing and various things. And I'm really excited to teach this particular kind of stuff. So
that's great, man.
I'm really excited. I wish I had known Joe, but I'm deeply honored to get to teach his students a bit.
Beyond Emma, have you met Adam and Andy?
I've never met Adam. I met Andy once by accident. My first, I always forget which con it was. I can't remember if it was San Diego or I think it must have been the San Diego Comic-Con DC lounge. There's like up where the interviews and stuff happen. There's like a little press hallway that you've probably been in.
Oh yeah.
And they have these little rooms, and one of them they keep one of them set aside as the DC lounge, and it's very small, but they keep it stocked with like little snacky stuff and water and whatever. And my first San Diego in that room, when I made it in the DC lounge, I didn't really know a lot of people. Josh Williamson was there. He's very kind, introduced himself. We talked to him. But I was just hanging out in there a little bit, just like, grabbing a water and just kind of getting off my feet for a second. And when I walked in there, I literally bumped into this big, tall guy, and I had no idea who he was. And I was like, oh, hey, excuse me. And I'm like, how's your con going? Or maybe he said that. I don't like. He's like, good. He said, yeah, it's got off a panel with my brother, and it's got about an hour or two, and then I got a panel, portfolio review or something. And so in my mind, I'm kind of asking myself what some of these things mean. And he said something else vaguely Kuberty. I can't remember what it was. Something about a school or something else. But I was like, okay, I'm sorry. I know who you are. I'm so sorry. Like, Mr. Kubert, I'm a huge fan. Loved your dad. Love your work. So that was kind of how we talked. But it was so cool because right up until that moment, he was just a guy, and we're just two randos talking, and he was really cool and nice and unassuming, and there was no, sometimes you meet somebody awesome and they're like, they kind of expect
I'm hip.
The worship,
Yeah, I'm hip. Yeah.
And Andy's on that level.
Sure.
But he's not that guy that expects people to fawn over him, which I really respected. It was great to just talk to him like a guy before either one of us knew who anyone was. And we were just talking to a nice old dude,
That's excellent. Well, you guys are in the Superman Club. He had that great run with.
Well, I wasn't then though. That was
no. Oh, okay.
Yeah, this is years ago. I hadn't done shit yet. I mean, I was in that room, so I guess I was probably in the writer's workshop or something. I don't know what I was doing. I had an Aquaman story by then, I imagine, and I might have. I can't remember I don't know if I was through the writer's workshop or not. But I hadn't done anything that Andy would have read.
Okay.
But he was really nice to me, and
that's great.
I try to remember that kind of stuff.
Before we leave Superman, thoughts on the passing of Gene Hackman? I mean, we were all shocked at the circumstances, and they're still kind of up in the air, unfortunately. But yeah, just the body of work, and of course, his signature Lex Luthor role.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, of course, when I saw the news, I just thought of the amazing films he'd been in, and I I admit that I there's no real commonality in the Richard Donner take on Lex Luthor and what the Luthor that I wrote in the story. Like mine is always a little more, foreboding and scary.
Sure,
Like
sure.
in that book, like Donner wanted it was a more lighthearted story, and so you get the the boop, 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 boop.
Yes, yeah, the Otis music.
Yeah,
Exactly, man.
yeah,
I love that music.
kind of the derpy, lighthearted music whenever he's around, and it was never scary. It was like the mustache twirling kind of take. Um, but
John Williams thanks you for remembering those specific bars of the Superman soundtrack. Very good, man.
yeah, I think it's in that key too.
No, I think you nailed it. Of course, you nailed it. You're a musician. No, you're on key.
But
Absolutely.
anyway, it's but I actually remember him better. Like what French Connection and like
Of
other like
course.
more serious kind of stuff, and he was just such a consummate actor, and just in some of the best movies ever made in America.
I did a half hour solo last night. I couldn't get anyone to come on and talk with me about him, and I kind of beat the bushes. But and yeah, there Angie's even saying the conversation is so good. Hey man, you could have a greatest Gene Hackman film festival. It's going to take more than a day to get
Yeah.
through all the classic roles, all those decades.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember hearing, I mean, there's a quote that I heard about Bill Paxton that could easily be about him too. Something like, what do they say about Paxton? He was great in everything and he was in everything great. He was just in all these amazing projects. And Hackman he commanded that same kind of respect among other actors. He just been in so much amazing stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, real loss. It is really tragic and baffling what happened. And I hope that when people discover, I do think that the answers will eventually come. And when that happens, I hope it's not, I hope it's not tragic for, this. I don't want that to be something that people remember him for,
Totally. No, absolutely, man. It's so ironic too, because at the beginning of the month, they Turner Classic Movies was showing a bunch of Hackman films, or maybe the end of January, even maybe before their 31 Days of Oscar. But I happened to see they did one night where they did like 5 movies in a row. My favorite, Night Moves, the mid 70s crime movie that he made.
That's a great one, man. God,
Yeah.
of course, that movie. Like
Yep.
honestly, I can't hang with you as far as your film knowledge. Certainly not. Dude, that's just the truth. You know so much about so much.
Yeah, but Phil, that's because I got 20 years on it.
Yeah, but you also give a shit about stuff not everyone does, and I admire how much you know about the great fighters, about the great films, about the great TV shows and musicians, and there's just so much about. And I always love coming on here because I always learned a ton of stuff.
Well, that's kind, man. Well, we can talk about the current books because again, you're killing it right now. Someone's asking earlier, what is your maximum ability to write various things at once? Right now, there are 3 current books that you're doing, and I obviously again there's stuff in the hopper that we don't know about yet. But what is your average?
Well, it varies a lot.
Okay.
I mean, because up until like practically this exact moment, I've been doing it while I've been in the Army the entire time.
Yep.
During that time, there were times when I was writing 4 books and change at once, and that's just too much. When I say and change, what that amounts to is like a short story here and there, or like an annual issue that's just like a one-off, or some little additional thing that's not part of the usual monthly workload. Because other things do come up. Like if I'm like, for example, I'm on the Incredible Hulk and I've been on it for a minute, and then suddenly there's a giant size Hulk issue that pops up, or there's an annual, or there's the Incredible Hulk Blood Hunt one-off, stuff like that. So one series is not necessarily just 12 issues a year. So, but yeah, I have done as much as 4 at a time, plus those little things. But that was just grossly too much. And honestly, I'm still trying to get caught up. Like I am getting closer to daylight. But when your deadlines are just like 4 or 5 days apart, if something's just not working and you need 2 more days to get one done, there's no space for the next one, or the one after that, or the one after that, and then everything backlogs, and you're just screwed, and everyone's screwed. I mean, I love the medium of comics. I love it. But the time sensitivity is hard. So you do have to be very mindful of what you can carry. So I'm kind of, even now I'm kind of struggling with that, but it is getting easier now that I've just kind of closed the door on the Army stuff. So it's starting to get better.
Excellent.
I don't think I'm going to try to keep it to 4 or less rather than more than that. Even now, I mean, so right now I'm writing Incredible Hulk, Batman and Robin, Adventures of Superman,
and Hellhunters.
Although that one is a miniseries and that's done.
Okay.
For my part, the issue 3 came out this week, actually.
Yes, indeed.
So
we'll go into detail about it, but no, absolutely, keep going.
Well, I do want to do more of that series though, because I love it. That's my passion project. As you know, I got this whole Nazi hang up.
Well, I respect that, Phil. And again, with your Army background and appreciation for military history, no, this is a great. Hey, we may as well just start talking about it because I've got a lot of questions for you about Hellhunters. Now Bucky's on the cover, and I even told you when you're like, "Hey, you liking this so far?" I'll admit, I was talking to Lansing and Kelly and asking them about a character that you've introduced in Hellhunters, and that's this guy, Ghost Rider 44.
That's him,
as they refer to him. And I love these Golden Age characters that you've created for this series. And I mean, Logan is there, Nick Fury is there, Peggy Carter is there. Yeah. But let's talk about this Ghost Rider, who is not Danny Ketch, who is not Johnny Blaze, who is not and at first I thought maybe, because again, I saw them use him in one of their current series, and I'm like, oh, is that something you guys created, or is this the Golden Age Ghost Rider? And it's like, no, it's something Phillip came up with. And I'm like, well, damn, next time I talk to Phillip, I gotta find out about Ghost Rider 44. So yeah, tell me about this guy.
We actually introduced Ghost Rider 44 in the pages of
Hulk.
Hulk, yeah. And issues 6 through 8, there was an issue, a short arc called War Devil. And with the War Devil, Genie de Gaulle was the name of the monster that was the big bad in that arc. But in that same, I do make up a lot of new monsters for the Marvel Bestiary throughout this Hulk series. But I also try to bring in cameos of existing bad guys, also existing heroes, or make up new characters. And Ghost Rider 44 is one of those. So I got an opportunity to do a Ghost Rider thing a while back. And again, I was drowning in work, and I not just writing, but also Army stuff and whatever else. And I was like, I can't really do it. I'd have to give up something else. But I was like, wait, if you let me do like a Marvel's Inglorious Bastards kind of thing set in World War II, a new Ghost Rider, like Steve McQueen style, like on a Harley in the European theater mowing down Nazis, I'll do that. Like I'll give up another book to make that work. And they were like, they really want it to be Johnny Blaze. And I was like, well, I'm busy.
Yeah, that's all right.
I can't really do it because I couldn't. I mean, it would have been an awesome opportunity. I would have happily done it. But again, I was just tapped out. But the more I thought about that idea, I was like, damn, now I really want to do that. I really want to do that book now. And I kind of came up with the idea of his origin and how it would go. And I came up with this thing that's not unlike The Crow, where you see this airborne infantryman on D-Day get killed by this squad of like supernatural Nazis. And and then the spirit of vengeance raises him from the grave to avenge himself and, kill the bad guys. And he kind of falls in with these other amazing heroes from the Marvel roster that are over there. So eventually I just could not stop thinking about it. And I eventually got my friend Jonas Scharf, this amazing German artist that I worked with before. He was in with Marvel now. So I was like, would you want to do this with me? And he ended up doing these awesome sketches of how it might look. Yeah. So with Logan, Peggy Carter, Sergeant Fury, Ghost Rider 44.
And this guy, hold on, because I'm going to show him. The Soldier, yes, the exactly. Soldier Supreme.
Soldier Supreme, created by Jason Aaron.
I did not know that.
Yeah, this is all pretty recent. This was I think it was in the book Avengers Infinite or Avengers something. But it was it showed Avengers from different continuities, and but this, I think Sebastian though I think he comes from this universe.
Okay.
But anyway, I just thought he was dope. And honestly, when we looked at the whole roster, it was a little underpowered compared to Ghost Rider. Like Ghost Rider had these amazing powers. Logan, because of continuity hijinks, he didn't know he had claws during that time. If you actually go by the canon stuff that's been established in previous runs, he didn't know about the claws at that point. Like there was some kind of, I can't remember the reason, but it's not on the table. So it's basically just Ghost Rider and a bunch of just people.
Yes.
And I thought it would be cool if it was a suggestion of my editors, like who else could we bring in there? And we talked about him, and that just seemed like a perfect fit. So now he's able to kind of power up his allies,
Okay.
So it's a fun team.
This a really fun team, and again, great World War II story. And Bucky is understandably, just kind of classically batshit, as someone in the chat already pointed out, because Ed really, in retelling the Cap and Bucky story during World War II, really has this 15-year-old kid really being very zealous about killing Nazis. And I loved in issue 3 that he's all bummed out that Dum Dum Duggan took away his collection of Nazi ears.
He's crying. It's fun to show him like kind of sniffling and having the same emotions that a teenage kid would have, but he's also killed a ton of people. And so like showing that contrast is so fun. That cover that you just saw. So okay,
go for it, man.
A thing that I personally have struggled with writing this series is the whole no cigarette rule, like no tobacco rule that Marvel has. You can't ever see tobacco products in the book. So Logan doesn't smoke anymore. No one else does either. But as you know, back then everybody smoked.
Of course they did.
And it's just part of the thing. It's so fun to write the dialogue for characters back then. Writing Logan speaking in that kind of that dated 1930s, 40s kind of way. God,
sure.
And the same for all the other characters too. I just love it. And Bucky more so. So on the but I also want to see them all smoking because they
sure.
So that original cover, Bucky was smoking.
Oh, hilarious!
Or maybe it might have just been the mock-up. I think it was probably just the layout or something. But they were like, okay, no cigarette. We talked about how to make it work. And so we decided to give him some bubble gum, to bring out his little kid side. And there's a moment in the book. God, I hope I don't get in trouble for this. The way I wrote it, well, it doesn't matter. It didn't make it into the book.
It's out.
The way I wrote it, there's a page in there where they're trying to recruit Cap to be on the team, and the colonel's like, "No way, you can't have Cap. I need Cap for this other thing we're doing."
Yeah,
like I'll let you losers go for a week maybe. But you're not getting Cap, not for this. And so it's a no. So they're leaving. They're like, man, we really need Cap for this thing. And they go back to the bikes, and Bucky's there. And Sal Romero, so Ghost Rider 44's name is Sal Romero, named after a friend of mine. Not the whole name, Marvel, don't shoot me. It's just his last name. But he so Sal is like, this guy wants to go with us. And and when I was like, we're not taking a kid, no way. And Fury's like, get out of here. Come on. The colonel's going to be super mad at you. Like, you're not coming with us. And they kind of go back and forth about it. And he's arguing with him. And finally he's like, come on, Nick, let me bum a cigarette too. And Logan kind of laughs, and Nick sighs, and he pulls out a cigarette and gives it to him. He's like, don't tell Cap. So he gets the cigarette and he gets in the Jeep and they go. And he lets them just like play hooky on this Nazi killing mission.
Yes. And if Cap asks any questions, you stowed aboard. You didn't,
Exactly. Well, so we had to change that whole thing, because if you notice,
they still wouldn't let you do the cigarette thing.
Yeah. If you notice, you see Bucky kind of reaching out as if he's going to take it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because originally that's what was going to happen. There was you saw Nick kind of hand off the cigarette. But it was it was a no-go. And I don't blame them at all. We don't want to be glorifying smoking. Obviously, it totally makes sense. Yeah. But as a period piece, I want to see the cigarettes. So we I kind of went to the mats over it, but they won, and they probably should have. So there's no cigarettes in the book.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, no, dude, again, I'm an old time radio freak, and all those World War II old radio shows. Lucky Strike has gone. Lucky Strike, red and green, has gone to war, and that's why they changed the name of the color of the packs from green to red and white and everything. And it's like, okay, I never knew that until I started listening to Jack Benny shows from World War II and everything.
Yeah.
So
there was this really on the Glenn Miller, but when I played in the Glenn Miller band,
yeah,
they had there was a black and white photo of like an ad with Glenn Miller just like looking at the cameras, like holding a cigarette in his burning. Sure. It was just so funny. It was hanging up over somebody's seat. It was just a really funny image.
Absolutely. Chemdog points out, and he's absolutely right. The Flintstones originally was sponsored by Winston Cigarettes.
I know.
Yeah, man. No, absolutely. No. And again, go through any like Life magazine or Time magazine of the period and stuff. And yeah, man, there's Basil Rathbone for Territon cigarettes.
Nice.
Whatever, you name it, man.
Exactly.
No, absolutely.
No, I do not, for the record, I do not blame Marvel for that. It's actually,
no, it's fine.
I mean, I don't want Bucky looking really cool smoking, and my son reads the book, and I get it. I really do.
Sure.
I'm just kind of complaining because I just
is vaping allowed? I'm going to guess no.
I'm going to guess no. Yeah.
Unbelievable, man. No, Hellhunters is fantastic. 5 issues?
Yes. Now, right, okay. So yes, it is. Only because I don't I don't have the bandwidth to do like ongoing, but what I want to do anyway, just creatively, what I want to do with Hellhunters, if fans like it, which they seem to, it's been really good so far. Let's see. I didn't want it to be just the like the TV show that never ends, where it's just like ongoing forever, never, never. What I wanted is more like an Ed Brubaker, Sean Phillips kind of a model with their more recent stuff, where it's just like 5 issues, boom. Now I know that their things comes out in like little hardcovers, but I just want like, instead of an ongoing TV show, I want like a movie, bam, it's done. But then there's another movie. I would love to have love to have a long series of mini series that kind of tie together, where each one is a different adventure. We do introduce kind of a MacGuffin / big bad in the 3rd issue that we'll see continue to play out through. Like we'll see who Hoffman Bruckner really is. He's not just a Nazi. There's something in him, right? Like some kind of a supernatural thing that they're fighting. And we kind of establish where that thing comes from, what it is. We just add a bunch of lore, like I like to do.
You got these monsters running through really all 3 of your current books, and also. And this is what I appreciate about Bucky in particular. Again, I didn't mean to step on you, but
no, you're good.
But also that these troubled kids in all your books as well. Charlie and the Hulk, Damian's going through some serious shit in Batman and Robin, and even briefly Bucky, although now he's along, for the ride and everything. So we'll see how the next 2 play out. But what you're describing in terms of just doing an arc, having the trade, and hopefully being able to come back to and stuff. Yeah, man, that's like, and I know in the case of Lansing and Kelly with Thunderbolts, it more was the delay in releasing the movie and everything, that they got a second bite now during the Doom event and everything.
Right.
So that's cool. Will Hulk dovetail into Doom?
I mean, the event is such a broad sweeping thing that I'm not going to say no.
Okay.
But it's not going to be a focus of the book.
Well, and I know you've had to, done special things for like we were saying before with Blood Hunt and things like that.
Exactly. So. Like I'm sure there will be something they'll have to do that ties in some way, but it's not going to be like a driver of the thing. Like we're still doing the story with Eldest and Mother of Horrors and everything that is going to a very specific place.
Sure. Poor Charlie, my God. And really, although right now in Charlie's mind, for people who don't know, Charlie is the Hulk's companion that has been there for your run here on the book. But Charlie has now suddenly found herself with supernatural abilities to turn into kind of a werewolf sort of kind of character, although more supernatural and spiritual than just your average monster. Yeah. But given her personal tragedies and obstacles she's faced, right now, she's seeing being a monster, unlike Bruce Banner, as a plus. Yeah, that maybe this is a way for her to kind of really be able to deal with her own personal life, which I think is a cool spin.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, there's so much of Banner and Hulk in Charlie. I mean, sometimes, like, there have been a couple of times people have come up to me at cons a couple of times, and they talk about how Charlie seems like just as prominent in the book as Hulk is, and the reason is like she is a reflection of what Banner and Hulk are. Like she personally that she forms this kind of like hate triangle with the two of them, where she has such a different relationship with Banner than she does with Hulk, and it helps explore Hulk and Banner's characters, how they relate to each other as well as other people.
Absolutely.
Ways in which they're so like busted and kind of rely on each other and don't know it. And I mean, Charlie has all the same abuse history that Banner had. She struggles with the same feelings of weakness and helplessness, like frustrated by the same kind of problems that Banner was. She grew up like a huge Cap and Bucky fan, and she always played games of Cap and Bucky with her little brother in the woods. And she just dreamed of being Bucky herself. Like it just dreamt of Cap coming to the hills of Kentucky and rescuing her. They go off and have adventures. And then when the Avenger does come, it's not Cap, it's Hulk. And then she's like just obsessed with how strong he is. And in that moment where she is at her most frustrated and broken and angry and hurt, she just snaps, and she sees the thing that she has just seen is a Hulk out, and then she hulks out, and then she just chases Hulk like, I want to be like you, So that reflection to me makes it more of a Hulk book, not less. And now she gets to actually be a monster. Finally, she's always wanted that. There's a line that she has in one of the first few issues where, because she had this big burn on her face, like that she got from her dad. And that's a real story. I know somebody that had a burn like that. So she had that burn, and she kind of has her hair kind of hangs over her face, and she has her hoodie up all the time, and she just kind of hides the way that we see like kids hide all the time, the way I hid, and the way kids, kind of hide their posture, kind of cover themselves up in class or walking around. She at some point, Banner's trying to tell her that she doesn't belong there, that just you should be safer someplace else. And then Banner sees her burn and how messed up looking she is, and she's like, "Look, see, like I'm a monster already. I'm allowed to want the awesome parts too. I'm not just be ugly. I want to be ugly and awesome. And now she's ugly and awesome. She is this freaking horrifying monster, and she just loves it. Like finally she's strong. So yeah, and we'll see where that goes too. I don't want to spoil anything.
Well, where you left things in the last issue, yeah, there's a big throwdown coming. So
I know. And people are talking. Somebody was like, there's not enough fighting in this one. I'm like, dude, just give me a second. Wait for the next issue. It's gonna be nuts. Like Nick Klein just obliterates this next issue. It's so fucking good. And plus, I can't tell what we're billing to, but I'll tell you right now that Nick is drawing the Hulk versus Thor issue. And since that's gonna be issue number 25, for that issue, we wanted to do a big thing. And ever since Nick came on since I knew Nick was gonna be on the book, I knew I wanted to do a Hulk Thor thing because his Thor is just so great. And I mean, his Thor run before this aside, I know that Nick loves Norse mythology. I mean, he's just a huge Norse nerd, and I wanted to see him come back to Thor. So this issue has been cooking for a long time. I gave Nick some of the coolest fight choreography I could possibly think of. This is the best Hulk Thor fight ever by far. So yeah, he's working on that right now. But I'll tell you this, we are building to something pretty soon that is the biggest, in my opinion, probably the biggest turning point for Hulk. I don't want to say ever, but in a long, long time. Like a huge turning point for Hulk and for his place in the Marvel Universe. So yeah, just know that. If you're following the book, or if you're not following the book, get on it, because actually this week the 4th trade came out, and we're building to something monumental in Hulk's history. So please be around for that. Like, I'm really excited for what's coming. We're actually taking Nick off of a few issues so that he can do a ton of consecutive issues starting at this other thing that we're about to build up to. It's going to be incredible. I just can't wait to show everyone what's coming. I'm really excited. I'm a little nervous about it, and I'm not usually get nervous. I really want fans to love it. It's going to be such a huge swing. fans are going to freak out. And I think the freak outs will be mostly positive. But there's always people who don't like stuff. And I'm going to have to put in a lot of work myself as far as just getting the word out about how big a deal it is and trying to get retailers to know, like, pick this up. This is going to be a big, big deal.
Very cool. I loved. I always like the quiet scenes. I always like the talking scenes because and I was, again, you'll forgive me, but a couple days ago I was talking to Lansing and Kelly about this too, and I was saying this about Doom, and I love the way Doom will talk to certain heroes because he's known them forever. And
Right.
He called Bucky. He calls him James because, again, they've known each other for decades. And
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
at this point with Doom is like weary of these people and just like, all right, you're in the way again. I got to talk to you before I beat the shit out of you. And I love, conversely, the way Banner, even though the Hulk is doing everything he can to submerge Banner right now in the story, that Charlie is still getting echoes of Banner, whether she wants to or not. And that wonderful conversation, I'm assuming in her mind, of her looking at the pond and sees Banner's reflection. And, Banner's conscience is still bugging Charlie whether she wants it to happen or not.
Right.
And that was a great scene, man. And I loved the visual choice of, as opposed to a thought bubble or whatever. That's how she's seeing Banner and stuff.
Man, there's an issue coming up that I'm so excited about. I mean, I totally agree. I see people in the comments here too saying that the quiet ones are the moments that people remember. It's so true. That I mean, the one that I always think of most prominently is the Grant and Frank Quietly moment in Superman, where he is an All-Star, where he saves the jumper. Just, no action happens. He just speaks kindly to her, gives her a hug, and everyone remembers that scene.
Yeah.
And I tried to give my version of that throughout my Superman run in a few places. There's a talk between Superman and Midnighter in the Dungeons of War world. There's a talk between Superman and a former convict that he
on the scaffold, is there, or on the building?
Yeah, construction worker. Yeah, named after a friend of mine. Just a former convict who is now his friend. He just hangs out with him. Things like that are what people remember, and I remember that. There's a scene like that in the first issue of Book of El that I'm really excited for people to see. And I try to always come back to those too. I know what you mean. There's an issue coming up though, of Hulk. I shouldn't spoil which one, but it's going to be a lot of that. It's going to be more. Do you remember an issue of like when Hulk sees a ghost on the streets and he has to free her soul by righting this wrong that happened to her? It's like a really creepy story. The cover, I think it was like a Jay Lee cover, maybe, where it just shows this gigantic Hulk looking down at this, like, as the spirit of a young girl who died. But man, stories like that I don't know why they have so much more staying power than the big, crazy set pieces.
Yeah.
But they do. That's just, those are the rules. So I've got an issue very much like that coming up. That again has elements of my real, like, people that I actually have known that kind of find their way into the story.
To quote Bendis, and I said this to Lansing and Kelly, it's like, we've seen these guys fight each other all the time. It is those quiet moments. It is those character moments. It's, Nightcrawler and Wolverine at a bar, just talking and things like that. Or even, did someone already have of course, King of New York even says, the Ultimate Spider-Man issue where he just talks to Aunt May for an entire issue about him being Spider-Man. Yeah. No, those are big moments and stuff and everything. And again, it's like and I know someone else is going to do a dinner, and maybe it's Lansing and Kelly are going to do a dinner with Doom thing coming up, or somebody is. And I remember, shame on me. He passed away. The guy who wrote the animated All-Star Superman, the great writer that also, he created Damage Control. Help me out, chat. You know who I'm talking about.
Oh my God.
Dwayne McDuffie. Thank God I came up with it on my own. But yeah, I remember he did a Fantastic Four annual years ago, and it was My Dinner with Doom. And it's like, Reed and Doom get together every year, and they have this dinner, and no punches. It's just, the two of them really just kind of taking stock of themselves. And I always say my favorite Dr. Doom relationship is him and Ben Grimm, because they could not be more polar opposite. And it's, as far as Doom's concerned, Ben is still that dumb jock that he knew back in school. And I love when Ben calls Doom Vic. And it's like, oh yeah, it's that twerp that I hated, that
Right.
hated Reed so much for no reason, no real
Right.
reason. And again, they're just annoyed with the existence of each other. And it's just like, you jerk. No, you're the jerk. And it's just it's wonderful. So
Yeah.
yeah, that always kills me.
I
Always
tried
kills me.
I had a challenge in a Batman and Robin issue recently where I really wanted to bring out one of the other Robins for Batman to hang out with. So I bring out Red Hood.
Loved
And
it. Loved
we
it,
see,
man.
oh, thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Absolutely, man. No, that again, great intense conversations continue.
Yeah. So yeah, Batman and Red Hood have one as they're fighting. So they're kind of locked in this big building with in during a mob war, and SWAT teams in there trying to kill everybody, and it's complicated, but they're also talking via headset while they're
Kicking
beating
ass.
people up. Meanwhile, we're also seeing Robin doing detective work with Batman's former co-student, like a student that Batman knew as a student back in the day, and now she is a detective working with Robin. So it's just a really fun duality of the issue. And yeah, there's another one of those. Actually, let's see. I'm trying to think of which. I guess actually the one conversation I was thinking of specifically took place maybe in an issue before that, where Robin and Batman are like, Robin is looking through Thomas Wayne's journals. He's like, "Is this how normal people are?" Like, this is he seems so normal, and Gotham seemed so okay, normal, and there's no talk about like building tolerance to poison in here, or like unarmed ninja combat or whatever. Like, it's there's just like birthdays and hanging out at the pond and barbecues, and like, is Gotham this way because of us? And it kind of starts this really interesting conversation between the two of them. And I really, it's just those moments are what actually carry the characters forward and make us care about that stuff.
Yes.
Because I mean, otherwise, if it's just Michael Bay explosions, nobody gives a shit.
Absolutely. Well, it's funny because both you and Mark are talking about the relationships between Batman and Dick in year one and Batman and Damian in the Batman and Robin book. And yeah, I love this crisis of conscience that Damian is having in terms of, like you said, is Gotham this way because you instigate this stuff? You came on the scene and all of a sudden there's Riddler, there's Joker, there's all these people and all these problems. And also, I love that Bruce is showing Damian and going, listen, I've never shown this to you before. This is your grandfather's journal. And it has all these wonderful illustrations of, as you say, just innocent life. That's what Thomas Wayne was drawing, was just him and Bruce together sharing a moment and stuff. And he's like, and I love that. And I don't know if this started with you or previous iterations of Damian, that apparently Damian is drawing his own comic books and stuff. But it's like, oh yeah, your grandfather was an artist as well. This is what he was drawing. And yeah, it's all normal shit. And then forgive me, but I am going to say it because it's a couple months now, that conversation between Jason and Batman where Red Hood says, hey man, we didn't do this to clean up Gotham. We did this and we followed your mission so you would love us. And that's got to cut Bruce right to the core. Exactly. And he feels like he's losing Damian because he was worried about Damian being raised by the League of Assassins and Talia al Ghul and Ra's al Ghul to follow that destiny. And he's like, no, I had to give him the positive mission to kind of deprogram him. I don't think he can be a regular kid, but having met Dr. Bashar.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I don't want to confuse him with Julian Bashir of Deep Space Nine. But this great Kandak heart specialist or doctor that Thomas knew, and obviously has had this long relationship with Bruce as well. And, just somebody that Bruce introduces to Damian at a fundraiser, having a much bigger impact on Damian than I think Bruce expected. And all of a sudden now Damian's trying to lead a normal life and volunteer at this clinic.
Yeah.
And which all that stuff, man, truly what you've laid out in Batman and Robin, and really showing Damian beyond the bah and Pennyworth do X and do Y.
Exactly.
No, man, he's starting to feel his humanity.
Thank you.
He's wondering if he belongs on the mission still. And that's a great crisis of conscience for you to explore with him.
Thank you. I appreciate that a lot. I feel like it's important to see with the character. I was trying to find ways into the character that I haven't been done already. I mean, obviously the Al Ghul connection is such a big deal that it's hard to not think about it with the character and hard to not tread the same kind of kind of stuff that everyone's been doing. But I thought that, both of his grandfathers were doctors at one point. And there's never any discussion about his legacy as a Wayne, really. It's always the legacy as the son of Batman, the legacy as the son of the Al Ghuls.
Yep.
But there's a Wayne legacy too, or can be. And I thought it'd be kind of interesting to get into that a little bit. And plus it also draws from my own experience. A friend of mine said, you don't really write anything. You just like report. Like you just like use so many experiences, either of your own or from people that you care about or know, that like you're just kind of like taking notes on people. You're not really writing anything new, which I guess is sort of true. My at some point I found so when Damien's having trouble connecting with his Wayne roots, he's like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Like, this is not my mission. Like, you're the one that, like, this is not my town. I just came here because you're my dad. But this is your mission. I don't know what I'm doing here. I have all the tools that you never had at my age. But you always had your why. You always had your purpose. I don't have my purpose. I just have, I have all these skills, and I don't really give a shit about Gotham the way you do. I don't know if I'm supposed to be doing this. And so Bruce tries to make Damien fall in love with Gotham by showing him Thomas Wayne's journals. And he finds that Thomas Wayne's journals had pictures in them. And he drew the way that Damien does. That is an experience that I had, because I found my grandfather's journals. And again, this is around the same time that my brother and I were starting to explore making comics. So I'm a trumpet player, professional trumpet player. And at some point I started exploring writing comics with my brother, an illustrator. And I had drawn my whole life. Like as a kid, I was constantly drawing. I made my own comics as a kid. And I just felt like I was taking this big crazy swing, like, haha, I'll show you, world. I'm going to do this completely different creative pursuit now. And I found my grandfather's journals, and they're full of pictures. They're almost comics. And he's talking about playing the cornet and playing violin and whatever. And he's drawing pictures of everything. I'm like, I don't have any control over my life. Like, this is just, I'm just a slave to genetic destiny. And I never had any say over any of this. But it was a way that, I don't know, but it was a way to connect with my grandfather that I never really knew all that well.
Wow. That's great.
And issue number 19 is kind of the end of the arc, but then issue number 20 kicks off a new one.
Okay.
That is a continuation kind of the Memento story. It's not, anyway, I don't want to spoil it, but it's goddamn is cool. Issue number 20 of Batman and Robin might be my favorite issue of comics I've ever written.
Wow. I'm
really, really proud of it. And it's because we're doing things I've never done. And it's turning out so unbelievably beautifully. It just feels like music. I mean, we're going to see some of Thomas Wayne's journals in there. And they look like they should. They fucking drawn in pencil, the same pencil that the notes are written in. And then we see this amazing, just regular sequential comic pages by Miguel Mendonca that he just is the best work he's ever done. And then we're going to see Robin's comics as well.
Great.
Drawn by Juni Ba, and colored in colored pencil by Marcelo, like the guy who's been coloring the book so far. It is real art, like high art. I can't believe how good it looks. I can't believe what amazing work everybody involved is doing on it. I'm just inspired to work with these people. So
that sounds great, man. And truly, the Memento story is fantastic because it mirrors Damien's experience, but it's a mirror opposite because, as Damien pointed out, you had your mission. You went to Europe to figure out your tools and to learn the skills. I have the skills. I don't have a mission. I don't know who I am. And going back and watching Bruce go to London to learn under this master detective who's retired from Scotland Yard, but brought back on special cases, and he's brought on this Memento case. And then also does she have a French name? The former
Catherine Lautrec is her name.
Lautrec, yes. All right. So yeah, Catherine, Catherine, at the time when young Bruce is in London, is also learning under this guy whose last name was Blue,
Atticus
Bly.
Atticus Bly.
Atticus Bly. Excuse me, man.
Yeah.
No. And by the way, Caesar, I'm with you, man. He says he loves Junba's art.
Oh,
And
God,
absolutely,
no.
man, we all do. No, it's great stuff. I've seen it for years.
Yeah, I had to have Junie on this. I requested him specifically, and they were like, "He's going to be busy." I'm like, "Please ask him, or I will." It's just got to be him. Junie did this amazing Robin book called The Boy Wonder. Forgive me, I'm not sure if it's The Boy Wonder or just Boy Wonder, but damn, is it good. And it's I'm really proud that Batman and Robin lately has kind of become this place where other artists who have drawn beloved Batman stories and other books kind of come and continue those arcs with us. So
wow.
Like, Junie is doing this Robin, like he's drawing Robin's comics, and Carmine de Giamenico, Carmine di Giamenico, I think is his name. God, I hope I'm saying it right. I'm sorry, Carmine, if I'm getting it wrong. He's he drew The Night with Chip Zdarsky that shows a lot of Bruce's walkabout as a young, like learning to be Batman overseas. He drew all that stuff. So now we're seeing those chapters drawn by Carmine, because that's basically the same time period. I just love that. I love the interconnectivity of the different books. I love that somebody who read those books can read ours and feel at home and familiar, and like they get something someone else might. I don't know. I just love that, man. Those things like that are what make me just love this medium.
Well, and I agree with Ange that Memento is a very creepy villain. And there's a great mystery of who Memento is. And, there's, again, if people aren't reading it, they need to get into it and check it out. No, great story, man. So, yeah, I was wondering, because I already saw the issue that's coming out in a week or two, the next issue and stuff. And because DC's nice that way to me. Yeah. And which is good. But no, I was surprised, because I was kind of expecting it to be maybe the final chapter. It's like, oh, no, wait, there's still more to go. So is it 8 issues this arc, or 7?
No, well, the first sub arc, whatever you'd call it, is 6 issues, I believe.
Okay.
I came on at 14, and it ends, like, quote unquote ends. It was like a cliffhanger in 19.
Yeah.
And then 20 kicks off with this issue I'm talking about. And that kicks off this new arc that continues.
And that's April. Okay, that's coming in April, everybody.
That sounds
20.
right. Yeah.
Okay. Because 19 is coming in just a couple weeks. You're not going to be disappointed. It's very interesting.
It's
and
again,
so good. Yeah. No, dude, all these stories you're telling, they're really amazing. You're killing it. You really are, man. Absolutely.
Thank you, John.
Yeah, no, it's really great to see. And again, I'm intrigued by what might be coming with this Adventures of Superman story as well. But no, really, Hellhunters is great. Hulk continues to be the horror story that we want it to be. And then that's another thing, too. Really, again, in all 3 books right now, you're playing with horror as your adversaries.
Yeah. Right what you know, they say. I got stories with broken kids and sad dads. That's what I do.
Is Crocodile Black, is the trade out?
Yes, that just came out last week, I believe.
Oh, great, man! Because yes, people, the guy mentioned it earlier and stuff, and so yeah, and also I called it Alligator Black instead of Crocodile Black. So I wanted to correct myself.
Man, that book turned out beautiful too. Sam is the artist on that one, and that's his first Western book, and he just annihilated it. And it feels like Baltimore, which I love. The whole thing takes place in Baltimore, which is near where I live, and I did a lot of anti-human trafficking work there. And that book just feels like Baltimore in the perfect, creepiest way.
Have you had a chance to see Captain America: Brave New World?
I have.
Did you take your kid? Did you take your son?
I did. Yeah, it was good.
As the Hulk guy, what'd you think of Sam Wilson going up against the Red Hulk?
It was cool. I really, it looked amazing. It's cool to see Harrison Ford in a role like that, and it's cool to see that all the fight stuff was great. It was cool to see the continuation of the Hulk threads that they left hanging. It was good. It is not my very favorite of the Marvel films, but I did like it a lot. Seeing it with Anders was great, because he really liked it, and that made me enjoy it way more. And I don't know. It's the same old thing. Marvel just perfected that that formula of bringing out all the characters and letting them play in the sandbox just like they do in the comics. It feels like the comics in the interconnectivity of it. You know,
I agree with that, and I do think it is a better Marvel movie than previous both movies and television shows that we have been getting. Charlie is asking, and I don't know, did you have you worked with D-Man? Have you? I mean, he's obviously a D-Man fan.
Charlie, forgive my ignorance. I don't know who that is.
Oh, D-Man. D-Man has a costume very similar to Daredevil's original yellow and red costume. But he is like kind of this third tier, maybe even fourth tier Marvel street level character. I know Bendis, when he was doing New Avengers,
wait,
played with D-Man.
Demolition Man, is that correct?
I don't know if that's what the D stood for. I mean, again, he was always introduced to me as D-Man, and kind of a knucklehead hero. Here we go.
The version I'm seeing pop up. Okay, I've seen this guy and stuff. He looks like a cross between Daredevil and Wolverine, kind of.
Yeah. Yes. Very much so. The costume.
Yeah,
that's right. And I guess so. Yeah. And then Charlie saying, yeah, he is Demolition Man. But yeah, he was the army guy, I guess, who was friends with Sam Wilson in the movie. I didn't even realize that.
So, was he in the movie? Crap.
Well, I mean, God, they really kind of buried that the former Israeli woman that's the, chief of security for President Ross. It's like, by the way, that's Sabra. And it's like, and as I understand, the movie was rewritten several times.
Sure.
There probably were more scenes with her in her action suit and stuff. But and yes, as Charlie's pointing out, D-Man and Sabra apparently.
Man, I always feel like I'm playing catch up on as far as just like lore and knowing my love of comics came from such a small pile of books and plus I wasn't reading for fun forever. When I was in college, I was just trying to be the best musician I could, and I didn't read for fun for a long time. And I got back into it later. And so I'm always learning new stuff that I probably should have known years ago.
Phil, I'm constantly playing catch up, not only for current stuff, but again, that's why I have DC Universe and Marvel Unlimited. It's like, all right, wait, research time. Let me go back and see what the deal is with some of these characters and stuff. So no, I absolutely get it.
Man, absolutely. I do like having DC Universe. I went back and read. There was a beat from Superman for All Seasons I really wanted to see, and I picked it up and I found that spot, and then I just couldn't stop reading. I just read the whole thing.
That's great.
It just feels like it ought to,
Loeb's due back, especially with Hush 2 coming up. So I'll tease that as a immediate future word balloon conversation that is coming very soon.
If you talk to him soon, please tell him how much I think of that story. I just love it, and there's all these little beats that, like, there's this great scene in. So he goes home a fair bit, right? Like a lot of it takes place in Smallville. So when he's home, he goes home for dinner and he's hanging out and he's looking down at the dog. And he said, like, Shelby's really getting older, huh? And it's just this little bit of compassion for an old dog that just feels so much like Superman. I just love that. Like it's not the big, like, you're finished, toy man. The big like chest pumpy dumb shit. It's it's stuff like that. Or like there's another beat where like Pa asks him something like, so what's the city like? And he says something like, air conditioning's everywhere. It's like they don't even notice it's summer. And this guy that can just like pull planets around by chains, like it's just and he just comments. He just kind of is. Just kind of in awe at how like easy and comfortable life is in the city, and how like they just don't know what it's like to work on a farm, and like, oh, poor old Shelby's getting old. Those moments of humility are just such a crucial piece that honestly I try to nail that scene. I try to nail that element of his character, but I don't think I've ever nailed it as clearly as I don't think anyone's ever nailed as clearly as those beats like that at that dinner table. Like Jeff Loeb just nailed the shit out of it. In that book. I just love that book.
I absolutely hear you. And it's funny, I because people were talking about the early 90s Lois and Clark show, and I went back and I watched the pilot in particular. And I really appreciated the way they kept that the Kents were still alive, and that he'd go home for dinner, and really just like Bruce needed Alfred, Clark needed Monica to kind of be his compass.
Yeah, those moments of humility and compassion, it's like that small, like almost cheesy small town element. is just so key to what made him who he is. Like he's, where his he might go up against other Kryptonians that talk like Zod talks, and they know how great they are and what the weight of the legacy they carry. And he's just kind of like scratching his dog behind the ear and just kind of feeling sad he's going to die soon.
Yeah.
That's what makes him great.
I'm with you, man. We haven't talked about the trailer, and obviously, we're getting closer and closer to the big James Gunn Superman movie and stuff. What'd you think of the trailer and what you've seen so far?
I love it.
Yeah.
It's hard to say. I mean, trailers are so good now.
Right.
It's hard to say. Like, many times I've been trailered, where, as I call it, where I've kind of been sucked into looking forward to a movie that's probably going to be shitty because the trailer's so good.
Sure.
But that trailer, man, for me, it's all about the music. Not all about, but I love the dog elements. I love
oh God, yeah.
I love seeing the other characters like they ought to be, like Guy looking like he looks, and just the scene, this like the heart between him and Pa Kent, and oh God, so many great moments, but also just the doom doom doom, just an open fifth, and I'm all in. I have yet to see that trailer and not get a little sniffly.
Well, for me, it was Crypto, and I love the classic Silver Age Crypto design of the, I don't even know what kind of dog, because he almost looks like a Dalmatian without the spots.
Yeah,
somewhere, something like that. But I love that it's even just this tinier dog, which is so going to be like much like Baby Groot was the toy of the moment in Rocket and stuff like that. It's like, all right, DC's got their Crypto plushie ready to go.
If you want to make $1 billion, it is all about the cute thing that kicks ass.
Yeah,
something about like
Baby Yoda,
like Rocket,
certainly,
like Groot, and so like the cute thing that kicks ass is the money printer.
Well, and I'm sure we've had this conversation before. Truly, the great education I've gotten over these last 20 years is how important merchandising is, and that the ideas need to be toyetic. And it's like, I never heard that word before, but it's like, no, now I get it. And then, seriously, I know so many ideas for stories are born because, oh, that would make a cool toy. I remember an abandoned idea, like 20 years ago, where they toyed with bringing the composite Batman and Superman idea, but even going further and having half heroes or half hero, half villain and stuff of various DC Universe characters. Maybe that's still in development. I don't know. But I remember, again, 20 years ago when I even saw some designs and stuff like that. And it's like, yeah, there's a bunch of action figures waiting to happen or a bunch of statues waiting to happen. Come on.
Right. I mean, Mark Waid nailed that on World's Finest with the composite character they introduced. I forget the name, but it was like part Batman, Superman, and also Green Lantern was in there too. And it looked cool on the cover, and it was a cool idea. Like, man, actually, I learned a lot of stuff from that book. I just the nature of the medium. Like, I tend to tell these long form stories, and sometimes if you're trying to sum up the entire contents of the issue in one sentence, several of my issues in a row those summaries might be too similar, because I'm telling like a long form story. Whereas reading something like World's Finest with Mark and Dan, for those who don't know, Mark Waid and Dan Mora, every issue had something wildly different on the cover that looked really fun and engaging. Like, as, oh shit, this is the one that Green Lantern shows up. This is the one where Supergirl shows up. This is the one where they fight so and so. Like, there's another big, some kind of crazy introduction or something big and noteworthy happens in every visual one panel kind of way that you can put on the cover in every single issue of that series. I don't know. I took note of that. It was kind of like the way Jeff Loeb and Jim Lee's Hush was, where every issue, like that whole series, there's some bit like everybody Batman knows is in that damn series.
Yep.
Like Poison Ivy, Catwoman, Superman, like Vicky Vale, everybody's in that book.
Yep.
So yeah, anyway, there's something that I need to emulate a little closer in my work, I think, in that way. So anyway.
I like it. Thoughts on the FF trailer and the Daredevil trailers?
Both awesome. I mean, maybe I'm just too easy to please, but they both look great. They're both. I mean, they're all so different. I love how Fantastic Four it's setting itself apart with the period piece thing.
Yeah.
My brother, my younger brother, the guy I got into comics for, Bill, he actually pitched, not exactly pitched, but he's like, you know what they ought to do is they ought to set it in the 60s. Like, this is forever ago he said that.
Phil, I was saying the same thing, man. It's like that is where they work best. And it's okay. And I'm very, I mean, everyone's saying and or suspecting perhaps what we're seeing in the trailer is not the full story. And whether it's time travel or parallel Earth or whatever, but I do like where they're starting this movie compared to the other movies because it was a Cold War space race story,
right?
And that's what it should be. I mean, Matt Wagner and I decades ago, literally, because I can say that now, having done this show for 20 years. But yeah, he was like, a lot of these characters work best if you keep them in the decade in which they were created. And his examples were Batman and Zorro, things like that. And I even remember there was like a telenovela of Zorro where they tried to make it modern day, and he was riding a motorcycle and stuff. And it's like, yeah, but it's not really Zorro. You know, it's like Zorro's got to be here. Or that Batman really worked best, and that's why he did those wonderful adaptations of a lot of the original detective stories, like Batman and the Monster Men and some of the other stories and stuff.
The Matt Wagner one?
Yeah, Matt wrote and drew him and everything. And he's like, yeah, he goes, I like writing Batman. I like writing Batman period piece because he works better. Not that it can't work in modern day in the case of Batman, but I do hear what he's saying about Zorro, or even, you know, back then. And again, this is before Elementary and Sherlock. But he's like, Sherlock Holmes works best when you keep him in Victoria, London and everything. And I'm like, yeah, all right, I get it.
It's all about the execution, in my opinion.
True.
It's the new Sherlock, not new anymore, but the Sherlock show that they did with Cumberbatch. That was brilliantly done.
Loved it.
And actually, this is not a superhero story, but did you see the Netflix? What was it called? It was an Edgar Allan Poe tribute show.
I'm aware of it. I did not see it. I know
all of the House of Usher.
Yes. Yeah, I'm aware.
Ass.
Well, that's good to know.
It's so good. I've never seen a looser adaptation of the source material that was so fucking good. I mean, they just took the basic premise of so many. Yeah, the basic premise of so many stories, and wove them together into one narrative that was just beyond brilliant. I can't believe how good it was. It's all about the execution for me, but generally, I think there's something to be said for that for sure. I really like the animated Batman show. What's it called? The Cape Crusader.
Cape Crusader. Yeah. On Amazon.
That was amazing. I love the period piece of it. I love the physical design. I love what they did with a lot of those little characters. There actually is a Zorro adaptation on Prime. It's like a Spanish production, right?
Yeah, I liked it. I liked it, although some of the things they did, I'm like, all right, whatever. I mean, it
was definitely a telenovela kind of, but
I didn't mind that. I honestly, it was some of the narrative choices where I'm just like, okay, whatever. And again, I listen, you can do what you want, but again, I think and I'm a sucker for Zorro. I love the Alain de Leon, the French actor who played him in the early 70s. That's on YouTube, everybody, if you've never seen it. But it's a fantastic kind of post Mark of Zorro story where Don Diego becomes the governor and has to maintain the identity while he is working with the corrupt army and stuff and the various people working under him. And he's still got to clean up both sides as Zorro and as Don Diego and stuff. And it has like this 15-minute sword fight that literally is like that long, that goes throughout the entire village and through buildings and on balconies and stuff. It's a lot of fun.
Sounds like the Punch Out, the fight in Shane kind of that just never ended. So I have vague memories, man, we're getting off topic here, but when I was a little kid, I vaguely remember a black and white Zorro TV show with like an older and younger Zorro.
Oh, Zorro and Son. Now I remember. Now that was a sitcom. Well, I'm thinking of Zorro and Son, which was an '80s sitcom, and Henry Darrow played Don Diego, and then this kid. But it was in color. So unless you're thinking of something else,
No, okay, you know what? The television was in black and white. That's what it was.
it could be. Phil,
Like
the first. Go ahead.
I had this little. Well, I didn't have anything. My dad. I was literally in a trailer park, and the TV was this little black and white CRT TV, the size of a laptop, size of a Thanksgiving turkey.
Sure. Oh yeah, no, we all did back then, man. No, absolutely.
Yeah, so it was probably just in black and white because of the TV.
Loeb used to laugh at me because the first time I ever saw Goldfinger and Dr. No, I saw them on black and white TVs, and I didn't know until the VHS era that those movies were color movies.
Dude, that's hilarious. I can't believe I thought that show was in black and white this whole time. The world was in black and white back then.
Sure. Come on, man. Well, and again, half the stuff, all the reruns and all the old movies that we saw, I mean, it's the thing. We didn't blink at black and white. And we didn't blink at, hey, this is a Spencer Tracy, Katharine Hepburn movie from 1940. All right. It's on TV. I don't the I only got 5 channels, whatever, pre-cable world. And again, it was different. Dude, I'm so all about the free streamers that run classic movies and classic TV, as well as the pay streamers. So things like Tubi and Pluto and things like that. And I just love that they're all about that stuff. By the way, King of Sports Cal wanted to give it up for you for Batman and Robin.
Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate you saying that. It's an honor. It really is.
And JD, I don't know about this unless he's talking about this Amazon show. Well, he says there's a new French Zorro movie / show.
I don't know about that. He might be. I don't know. I shouldn't assume. I would imagine if it's newish, I would say it's probably the one that. Maybe it has a French production company. I don't know, but I got the impression it's all. I don't know. I could be assuming. I thought it was a Spanish production, but they also have one really interesting thing about that show. Is that they have different dialects of Spanish all the way through it, even like Russian characters. I don't know. I thought that was pretty cool.
The Native American storyline in that just kind of threw me, and I'm like,
oh, okay,
yeah. I'm like, well, I'm just like, is this necessary? I'm like, all right, whatever, I guess.
I know what you mean. I gotta say, I liked it. I guess
that's cool.
I didn't. Now, okay, so I feel like you know so much more about Zorro than me. I think your opinions might have just be calcified.
Truly, should be. That's very fair, Philip. That is very fair.
My ignorance allows me to enjoy it.
Well, again, and you're right. And there are certain things that I don't blink. That I mean, and and I'm not going to bore everybody because I do it enough when I have a Star Trek related subject or guest on to talk about it. But yeah, man, no, I'm happy to tell you all the things that are wrong with new Star Trek because my opinions are calcified. And I'm like, sorry, I'm not buying some of these moves. We'll talk more about Brave New World off the air, where again, some of my opinions are calcified. And I'm like,
I hope I wasn't too negative about that.
No, not at all. I think you were quite positive about the movie and and especially, you know what? I truly, Philip, I've been telling all my friends that aren't Marvel heads or comic book people that are just like, oh, you saw Captain America: Brave New World. These are ordinary people, and I'm like, listen, if you're looking for a fun popcorn movie, go see it. You're
totally
good time.
Honestly, yeah.
If you're in an area of the country where it's freezing and you want to just go because you're like stir crazy and you want to get out of the house and go see a movie, it's fun. But again, knowing what I know about Sam Wilson, Captain America, Thunderbolt Ross, the Red Hulk, all that stuff, I'm like, all right. Again, I'm like, I wouldn't have done it that way. Well, really, the guy I think gets the most disservice, and again, rewrites, it's a shame because they gave him more scenes. Isaiah Bradley. Ever since Morales and Kyle Baker did that Truth miniseries 25 years ago, I've adored that story. And
I know.
I want more Isaiah Bradley as Captain America.
I love that. I love that actor anyway.
Carl Lumley, everybody. Yes.
Yeah, he's amazing. But he's also he's doing an amazing job in this. Like in the other thing too. He was so good in that show.
Yes.
And that the whole concept of that character is so friggin' like not just cool, but also like hard, like heartbreaking and like complicated, but also has the potential to be so badass.
Well, and they changed it a bit for the movie because in the original comic book, Isaiah Bradley was before Steve Rogers, and Steve had no idea. Right. And the minor spoiler, they have now adjusted it that Isaiah Bradley was active during the Korean War.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense for the narrative of the MCU.
Sure.
And
No, I'm with
actually,
you. I'm cool
it's
with
cool,
that.
and it is cool that he's like still around as a result. He's still like old but not busted.
No, and in fact, there's a great scene where it's like, guess what? Isaiah Bradley can still handle himself,
Yeah,
even at his
yeah.
advanced age. Which again, that's what I love about and I love saying that with the list, the super soldier formula, because
Yeah. Well,
you
spoilers.
know,
If they let me keep doing Hellhunters books, they're not all going to be set in World War II. I mean, I have a bunch of ideas I want to use, and Isaiah Bradley's definitely in at least one of them.
oh, that'd be great.
I mean, right now, so Cap is not going to be like a full member of the Hellhunters ever because
Sure,
he's just
too busy.
too kind and
Oh,
not a psycho is really the answer.
okay, fair enough.
Not that Peggy's a psycho, but I also see Peggy as, I mean, she was French Resistance. I don't know. I just see her kind of, in the shadows, slitting throats in a way that Cap's just not. Yeah, I don't know. I know she's not French, but I mean, she was an American working with the French Resistance, and I could see. I don't know. I see Peggy as more like capable of more like espionage type stuff, where Cap is just like riding over the hill on his motorcycle and throwing shields and just being awesome, like in your face, like the sun's gleaming off of him. It's just a different kind of thing.
I'm hip.
While Bucky is collecting ears.
Yeah.
So I just don't see Cap in the book. But I mean, he's in issue 3, but he's not
Yeah.
not on the team. He will play a role for sure, and in other ways in the chapters going forward if we get to keep doing them. Isaiah Bradley, though, because of what he's been through, I could see Isaiah being on the team at a certain point in his history.
Caesar suggests Namor is not too kind. Add him to the team.
Namor. Maybe. I mean, at some point, it's just the Defenders.
Well, and honestly, this is what I love about the series, Philip, because truly, and this is the great thing about Marvel's Golden Age. On the one hand, I'm always like, oh, it's a shame that they don't do more with it. But that's when it's great that you guys. I mean, I felt this way about Ed when he did the Marvels project, 2 decades ago, and it was like, giving all those timely heroes more gravitas. I felt the same way when Straczynski did the 12, and I thought that was a really great miniseries. But I love that you're taking these new characters that have been created and like, no, here's a place for them. And yeah, there's a great unexplored 40s. God, even John Byrne with that, I forget what it was called, but where he focused on the 50s and did that. It's not on Marvel Unlimited, unfortunately, but it was this great story that he did about basically the decade before the Marvel age, what was happening in the 50s in the 616. And yes, there's a lot of uncovered history that, the right writer and artist can go back and have a great time with. Okay, Ange wants to see Union Jack in the book.
We'll see, man. I don't know. I've got my own ideas.
Again, that's the Invaders, everybody. There's already,
The book is the pitch that I passed on to Marvel was it's Marvel's Inglorious Bastards.
Yeah.
Straight up. Like it's the scene outside the cave where the bear Jew comes out and straightens that dude out. It's that kind of a book.
I'm with you.
I want it to be rough. Like we kind of live in a world in which the word Nazi has been overused for a very long time.
Agreed.
Even while it's becoming more and more relevant.
Agreed on that side as well, but you got to pick and choose, man.
It's easy to hear somebody call somebody else a Nazi and be like, whatever, it doesn't mean anything.
Well, that's the problem, man.
Now we've got people actually spouting actual Nazi ideology, and people aren't listening because they're just used to hearing the word Nazi and not meaning anything.
Completely agree, Philip. Absolutely. Man.
So Hellhunters is a book that really matters to me. So if you see me getting a little salty online about it, it's on purpose. I guess I don't give a shit.
Good for you, man.
Also, to anyone who's listening, any UFC fans out there, Bryce Mitchell, big Nazi fan, is fighting on April 12th. Please root for him to get his ass kicked if you give a shit about this kind of thing.
I had no idea. Oh, what an asshole. My God.
Oh, he was on a podcast and he was talking about what a good guy Hitler was.
Jesus Christ. Oh my God. They should drop him right now. My God.
Well,
yes,
he was they feel empowered saying crap like that. And he's right. They didn't do anything.
Jeez, Ange is right. Yes, Howard Chaykin did Avengers 1959, which is a lot of fun. And also, JD let us know about the Zorro show. I guess the new Zorro series
I saw that. Yeah,
it will be available on Paramount Plus and French television.
Yeah, so. I'm curious to see it now. So I'll
me too.
check that out. It's kind of cool seeing Zorro come back now.
I'm all for it, man. And of course, my God, great comics over the years. And man, as a little kid, I had never seen that Disney Guy Williams 50s Zorro show. And then when the Disney channels, again, showing my age, was brand new 40 years ago, it was just so great where it's like, oh, I finally get to watch Zorro. This is going to be great. It didn't disappoint. It's a fantastic show. And I want to say the Zorro rights holders tried to make the licensing more expensive to Disney. And he's like, oh, well, how about I cancel it instead? See you later. And moved on to the next project. It's like, oh, no.
Yeah, that's too bad.
But then we got Guy Williams as John Robinson in Lost in Space. So there's a semi-happy ending. Too funny. Phillip, honestly, man, I love what you're doing, and you're killing it, as I always say, but I mean it, because truly, really interesting character moments right now happening in all three of your current books, whether it's The Hulk, Batman and Robin, and Hell Hunters. There's a lot of personal trauma, and it's good trauma drama. Sometimes I complain that some of my streaming shows give us, well, I never told you about this really sad story in my history. It's like, nobody cares. The action. But in your case, it's working. They're good. Honestly, man, no, I really think the way you're exploring Damien and the Hell Hunters, all of them, and including Bucky's great show this week in Hell Hunters 3. And yeah, poor Charlie, man. Just a tragic story happening in the Hulk.
Yeah, thanks. There's so much more coming for Charlie as she's going through, but it also impacts Hulk in huge ways. The thing that's coming for both of them, it does become an even more Hulk-centric story coming up soon, and he's coming up on such a massive turning point in his history. I really hope readers dig it, because it's a big change, but God, is it going to be cool! I can't wait.
So, and does that happen in 25? Is that where it happens?
No,
or
it's
30.
25 is eventful, but it's not.
That's the Thor. That's the Thor fight.
Yeah, 25 is a Thor fight. I shouldn't say what issue is happening. I want to wait until I want the story to develop organically, and you'll see. You'll kind of see what's coming as the issues progress. You'll see. So Charlie is she's kind of reveling in her power, but she understands that she's not completely in control of it. And so far, she doesn't care so much. But also, Hulk and Banner have their own thoughts about all that. Like Hulk Hulk so far has been comfortable with how it's going. Like, strong does not mean evil. Like, so he's like, whatever, you're strong now. That's cool. Let's fuck around. Let's play.
Well, and yeah, he's bummed when she goes off on her own, and he's like, wait a minute, I like you. Where the hell are you going?
Yeah.
And it just like I always give it up to Paul Jenkins when the way he had the Sentry and the Hulk's relationship, and that the aura of the Sentries actually calmed the Hulk down.
Right. Yeah, man. I really want to do some Sentry stuff in this. They've already done so much with Sentry's his character and the powers and how that all broke down since then. It just would have been such a huge lift to get Sentry in the book, but man, that would have been cool.
Understood.
But anyway.
Well, Bud, we'll save more for next time, and it sounds like there's going to be more reasons to talk, especially with Adventures of Superman House of L coming up as well later this year.
There are. There's one more thing I want to spoil just for like a 30-second plug.
Please.
I am. So now I'm out of the Army, but I still have that musical creative itch, and I've been writing music in my books for like a long time. But it's always kind of been theoretical, sort of, because it's on the page, but no one's hearing it except for the trailers I've made.
What did I just read, Phillip, that had the lyrics of a song? Of your current stuff, and I'm like, yeah, there goes Phillip again composing. Right. And I wondered if there was real. Sure. Well, beyond the words, I wondered if there was.
It was Hell Hunters, probably
issue 2, I think, of Hell Hunters, or
3, the very end of 3.
It was 3. Oh, okay, yeah.
In issue 3, we established that. Well, Memento speaks only in verse, so
yes,
you're seeing like poetry through there because that's how he talks, kind of like Etrigan.
But there were like musical notes in Hell Hunters as well.
Yeah, on the page. Yeah, in Hell Hunters, we established. So they roll into this town that's been wrecked, and Bucky says something like, "Man, I hate it when it's quiet like this. This is right before the crowds come out." And somebody says something like, "Well, sing a song or something." And he says, "I don't know any songs." And Peggy's like, "What do you mean you don't know any songs? Didn't any of your buddies ever have a radio back home or something?" He's like, "No, I don't know any music." But he said, "Well, I know the cadence calls they make us run to. I can sing one of those." And Sebastian's like, "Don't sing one of those." But then at the end, you see Ghost Rider 44, like they're fighting this eldritch horror thing, this gigantic, like this thing made of the living bodies of dying Nazis, like combined into this horrible thing. And they're fighting it. And so Ghost Rider like grabs Bucky by the scruff of the neck and he's on his back. He's like firing his machine gun from behind Ghost Rider. He starts singing an old cadence call. And that song he's singing I took bits and pieces of actual old cadence calls. And
is that when you say cadence calls, that like, I don't know what I've been told?
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
What we now call Jody calls.
Why do you call them Jody calls?
That's just, I don't know, actually.
That's hilarious.
I mean, the term Jody, God, I shouldn't be saying this shit. This is insider baseball. But Jody, the term Jody refers to the guy that's like sleeping in your bed and eating your food and with your woman while you're overseas. Yeah,
that is outstanding, man. No, that's the kind of inside baseball we want to know about.
There's some Army lore, but
I love it.
But when you're marching or running, you sing one of those tunes. It's called a Jody call. So actually, let me. I don't know, but I don't know if they did back then. In the book, they call it cadence call. I could not confirm. It seems unlikely they would have called it a Jody call back then. So they call it cadence call. Let me just pull up the script here. But at the end, so the only songs that Bucky knows are cadence calls. So he's singing one, and he's just mowing them down, and everyone's looking at him like singing like Jesus. He's doing it. So he's shooting bad guys, and he's like, heads are up and chests are out, arms are swinging in cadence count, head and eyes are off the ground, 40 inches cover down. And then let's see. An airman's wings are made of lead, a sailor soggy in the head. No bullet sponge Marine for me. I'm Army Airborne Infantry. And those are bits and pieces of actual cadence calls. Not all of them. Some of it I made up.
Yeah.
I took bits and pieces from different ones, and I kind of made up some new stuff and sort of made a new one that fit the number of panels I needed, and also fit Bucky himself, and also fit the moment. It's just kind of that's what I did.
But you started to say because again, you don't want to drop music, and you said you're composing music. I'm assuming because
I don't want to give too much away, but I'll say that I think there's a place for the element of performance in comic art. I kind of want to, now that I'm out of the Army gig, I have these creatives. I have a little more time, and I'm in the back half of my life probably, and I just kind of want to carry the medium forward. I love music. I have other skills that I want to use. I've been combining different kinds of art forms the whole time I've been doing this, and I want to do it way more. I want to do it more effectively and to greater degree. Whenever, like this issue number 20 that we're about to do in Batman and Robin, where we combine the work of different artists in the same narrative. I just fucking love doing that. I can't tell you how rewarding it is to see, like, combine the journals and stories and comics and art of different generations and time into one narrative. I think that's so fun and rewarding. And you can see the energy from all the artists respond to it. We got a guy coloring a comic book by DC Comics in actual colored pencil.
You were saying, yeah, Marcello.
And it looks so cool. God, I can't wait for you guys to see it. It looks like the comics that I'm sure many of the people watching this thing made as kids.
I've got my colored pencils still. Don't kid yourself. Absolutely, man.
That's there's this page where we see Robin, a page that Robin drew called Robin and Batman. And it takes it's a mirror flip sort of an earlier page in the series where we see Batman very prominent and Robin kind of like his buddy. But in Robin's comics, the other way. And
well,
it's just so fun. There are elements of music that I want to bring into sequential storytelling.
I don't know if you're aware, but years ago, God, now that I'm trying to do the math, more than 10 years ago, Art Spiegelman was did a live show with a small band, and it had like at least 5 pieces on stage, and he was showing these silent graphic novels that went as far back as the late 1800s to the mid 1940s. And they weren't called, they were just whatever, silent illustration books, basically. But he scored them with this band with original music. So
did Art write the music?
I don't know what his involvement was, and it bums me out. I only had the one opportunity to interview him, and it was about one of those Folio Society books of Marvel where he did the introduction to it. And between that and also at the time, as we talk about the current culture wars, Mouse was being, taken out of libraries and stuff like that. And it's like, that's ridiculous. So I really focused more on that. But I did tell him, because I think he only performed this back then in a handful of cities, like less than 5 cities. I know he did it. He did it in Chicago at the University of Chicago, which was great. But he also did it in Australia. I want to say in Sydney, Australia, and one of the West Coast cities, and not LA. I think he did it like in San Francisco or maybe Portland. I can't remember. But that was it. And again, I was just stunned by it. And I don't know. I don't know if he just showed the band the books. They came up with the music, but it was really this incredible combination of him giving the background of the graphic novel and then showing the book and showing the sequential art as this band was just playing. I mean, there was no lyrics, but it was just this really cool soundtrack.
Yeah. So I know there have been some moments like that. I need to find that exact thing, but the thing that I have in mind is a little more involved.
Well, of course it is, and that's awesome to hear.
I can't wait for you to see it. It's
I'm
happening
psyched for you, man.
I can't stop thinking about it. So it's happening for Joe. I've already talked to a lot of people who are going to do it with me, and I don't want to spoil completely what's coming, but it's going to be dope as hell.
Well, again, for and God bless it, forgive me, your big kind of mythological story that you did, God.
The Last God.
Last God, yeah, absolutely, man. You came up.
It goes by Fellspire Chronicles now because of a copyright dispute.
That's right, and forgive me, man. I always think, and you've told me that before, but I always think of it more as Last God.
No, I try to always say both names because I know a lot of people discovered it through Last God, but now it's available only as Fellspire.
Fellspire Chronicles, everybody know, a great one of,
Speaking of that, I just saw Riccardo Federici at MegaCon in Orlando, and he and his partner are Italian, but they live in France, and they don't come over very much. They're over here like a couple of times a year, maybe.
Okay.
Usually it's like once or less. But that last night he was there was like a Super Bowl party, and we were all kind of hanging out. And I don't give a shit about football. I'm there with Danny Earls, who used to play. He was a professional footballer, like a soccer player.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
He was like, "This game is so lame and weird." his fiance is there too. Like, what do the numbers mean? It's like all the scoring is so strange. But Ricardo was there too, and he was just drawing on cocktail napkins the whole time. He didn't watch a lick of it, and he drew this from. He just like knocked it on like ballpoint pen.
Wow.
Phillip the Barbarian. He did that in like 3 minutes or whatever.
That's outstanding.
Well, yeah, Ricardo's so cool. It was so awesome to see him. So yeah, we're working on something too. I should go ahead and spoil.
All right, very cool. Excellent. Way to go, Phillip. I'm telling you, man. All right. Well, you know what? I'll be bugging you in the months ahead, and we'll reconvene for a new chat. But
I'll get back to Chicago. Also, whenever you come out here for a con, you got to stay at my house. We'll hang out.
Oh, my man, that's so kind. Absolutely, man. Well, again, I know I'm doing Terrificon again, but and you'll forgive me because as much as I like doing, it's like I got to admit I kind of like being right there at at Mohegan Sun and everything, and
yeah, totally.
I can sleep till the last minute and just take the elevator down.
Yeah.
But it was great. I'm glad we hung last summer and stuff.
Yeah, totally.
Are you coming to Chicago this year for C2E2 or no?
I don't think I'm doing that one.
Okay.
But I'll find a way out there. I am traveling a good bit this year, between teaching and conventions and various things. But I'll get out there again. I love that town. I gotta let's go get a drink at the Green Mill. I love that place.
Hell yes. One of my favorites. Absolutely, man. Great place to eat around there too.
Yeah.
So Excellent. Thank you, Philip. As always, everybody. Philip Kennedy Johnson, thank you for the great comics and the great conversation, as always.
That was an honor, John.
And Monday, if everything goes right, Scott Snyder will be joining us to talk about Absolute Batman and whatever else is going on in Scott's world. So I hope you'll join us then. Until next time, everybody stay safe, stay happy, stay healthy.